The First Amendment guarantees the right to free speech. Alabama's Open Meetings Act guarantees anyone can record an open public meeting. So when a city councilor reached out to me after his rights were threatened in the small town of Margaret, I started investigating. I'm the only reporter who followed this story from the beginning to the end. In this 9-part series, you'll watch the councilor get kicked out of a public meeting for simply recording it. You'll even watch our own WBRC cameras barred at the doors of City Hall. But you'll also see a resolution. Because of my reporting, Margaret residents now have a front row seat to what their government is doing. Here's how we did it.
Right now.
First at 9, covering St. Clair County, a Margaret City councilor is escorted out of his own public meeting by a police officer this week for using his phone to record the meeting.
Yeah, all of this happening after the city adopted a rule in July prohibiting any taping of council meetings using video or audio, which could be a violation of state law. Your reporter Lauren Harkson on your side tonight, digging into this situation. And Lauren, you've got your hands on that video of the council member being kicked out.
Yeah, that's right. Brittany, Steve, for a year and a half, Councilor Matt Tortorisi says he's recorded every public council meeting to post on his Facebook page for Margaret residents to view. But now he's no longer allowed to inform neighbors in this way because of a rule adopted while he was gone.
At the last meeting and the meeting before that, there was a motion made about recording of the meetings, and this body voted not to allow those recordings. And my understanding is someone has a recording device, they need to remove it.
District 4 Councilor Matt Tortorisi attempting to record Tuesday night city council meeting when the Margaret City attorney told him he had to stop. Tortorisi started sharing the Open Meetings Act.
A meeting of a government body, except while in executive session, may be openly recorded by any person in attendance by means of a tape recorder or any other means of sonic, photographic, or video reproduction.
Shortly after this interaction, Mayor Pro Tem Daryl McIntyre can be seen speaking to a police officer in the room.
My camera was set up in a way that was completely non-disruptive, and they booted me out anyway. And so if they'll do that to an elected official, what do you think they think of your rights?
Tortorisi says the city council passed the new motion prohibiting the taping of these meetings July 2nd while he and another council member weren't there. And he says the motion is illegal.
I wasn't afraid. I know my rights. I'd done my homework, and I knew they were violating my First Amendment rights and the Open Meetings Act.
He says he records the meetings to keep residents informed.
The open meeting law itself is intended to allow the people to know what the government is doing. I record because all my constituents, and I represent nearly 50% of the city, they all have jobs, they all have busy lives, and they just want to know what's going on. And I do my best to give them the option and inform them.
Tortorisi says after every public meeting, he posts the videos unedited to a Facebook page for neighbors to view. But now he can't.
All of that, though, makes me think, what are they trying to hide? What are they so afraid of?
Now, I reached out to the Margaret mayor, the city attorney, and every city councilor to learn more about this new rule. I only heard back from Councilor Jonathan Ray, who also opposes it. Tortorisi is exploring what legal options he has now to get this rule off the books. And coming up at 10, you'll hear from an expert on the Open Meetings Act to better understand exactly what it says and what your rights are. Well, during our 9 o'clock hour, I shared this video of Margaret City Councilor Matt Tortorisi getting escorted from the City Council meeting last night after attempting to just record it. Back in July, while he and Councilor Jonathan Ray were not there, the remaining council members passed a motion prohibiting the taping of council meetings using video or audio. Now, the Open Meetings Act is a law that guarantees citizens have open access to agencies, boards, commissions, and other governmental bodies which conduct the people's business. So Section 6 of Act number 2005-40 reads, quote, "A meeting of a governmental body, except while in executive session, may be openly recorded by any person in attendance by means of a tape recorder or any other means of sonic, photographic, or video reproduction, provided the recording does not disrupt the conduct of the meeting," end quote. So today, I went to an expert on the subject, Alabama Broadcasters Association President Sharon Tinsley. She says she gets calls nearly every day about journalists across the state getting kicked out, removed, or silenced for recording in public, an Alabama right. She says the law is pretty straightforward, and because city councils conduct business with public tax dollars, the public should have the right to know about the business they're conducting.
It's frustrating that people that get elected to government offices don't understand the law, don't try to learn the law, and If they do, then they're trying to go around the law, and you just cannot do that.
Matt Tortorisi tells me he's now exploring what legal options he has to get this new rule off the books. I reached out to the city attorney, the district attorney, and the state attorney general to learn more about the legality of this new city rule, but I'm still waiting to hear back. As we learn more, we'll update you right here on air and online.
New at 10, covering St. Clair County, the Margaret City Council voting tonight to suspend their scheduled meeting because of what they call disruptions related to recording devices.
This following a rule passed in July, which prohibits the taping of the meeting through video or audio. Your reporter Lauren Harkson inside that meeting tonight when they voted to cancel it. Lauren is live. And Lauren, were you able to record?
Steve, Brittany, yes, we were able to record, but it got pretty heated tonight in the city council chambers. As soon as we walked in 5 minutes before that meeting was actually set to begin, the recording device rule was the hot topic.
Now, the law, and I'm going to read it.
Margaret City Attorney Erskine Funderburg addressing the city council and the residents before Tuesday night's meeting.
Tonight, this council is here to conduct business. But the law in this room, as we see here, is based on the July rule. And the July rule says there will be no recordings in this room.
Erskine also let it be known.
After nearly 10 minutes of back and forth between those on council, a motion to suspend the meeting.
I'm sorry to tell you all that, but I'm making a motion right now to reconvene this meeting at a later time if recording devices are not taken into the hallway.
Another 10 minutes before the motion passes.
All in favor?
3-2. After the meeting, I asked those in favor of the recording ban who it applies to. So would media be allowed to come into your city council meetings and record the meetings to let those residents know what's going on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. And I understand you spoke with our attorneys earlier today, and they mentioned, you said we would be allowed to be here and record.
WBRC?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I did. So basically what the chair told me earlier was he doesn't want anybody in the room recording, you know, and typically in the past y'all kind of set up toward the back, so he just asked that y'all do it from the hallway. That's it.
Okay.
But I don't think anybody's upset with you guys recording. It's him recording and then posting as if he's posting an official recording, and he only posts portions of it.
Understand. So at the next meeting, will we and record the meeting?
You can. I think there will always be an exception for recognized media.
Councilman Matt Tortorisi, who was kicked out of the August meeting for recording it, says that makes the rule personal.
Well, I mean, that just goes to show you that this is a targeted attack on me. I mean, the fact that they're going to let some people in but not me, like, just tells you that the whole thing was targeted at me.
Attorney Lyle Harmon sending a letter to the city council saying it's his opinion that the resolution violates Alabama state code, saying, quote, the council should reconsider any resolution that restricts all open recordings during city council meetings, end quote. The city attorney's response to him that the Code of Alabama allows the recording but does not require it, saying, quote, the word may is used rather than the word shall. He goes on to say the council of the city of Margaret has acted within the requirements of Alabama Open Meetings Act to suspend recordings while they attempt to adopt reasonable rules. Now, I'm told they actually planned on passing a motion tonight to begin using some city-funded camera equipment for live streaming and recording meetings. Since, of course, that meeting was suspended, it'll be on the books at the next meeting, which should be in 2 weeks. Live tonight in Margaret, Lauren Harkson, WBRC 6 News, on your side.
Public meetings should be public.
University of Alabama Associate Professor Chris Roberts says public recordings should be allowed within public council meetings.
The city should have maybe not the legal obligation, but certainly the moral obligation to show their publics what it is they're doing.
The Margaret City Council at odds Tuesday night over a rule which prohibits the taping of their meetings. Some saying the rule is illegal, others saying it is legal. So being an attorney, tell me your perspective on the legality of the rule that was passed in July.
As I understand the law, they're allowed to stop the recording if it disrupts the meeting. And what we had was 3 councilmen that would not refuse to even entertain any business until the recording stopped. So that's why they passed it. Does it look bad? It makes it look bad, but we have never denied anyone the ability to attend the meeting, to observe, and generally they let most people speak at these meetings.
I think there's a fairly simple solution. The city of Margaret could record the meetings themselves and make them available to the public. Other cities make their recordings and their public meetings open to the public live on Facebook and other venues.
And that exact scenario is expected to begin soon. In February 2023, Councilor Matt Tortorisi made a motion to stream and record meetings. It passed in April. Around the same time, the council voted to spend up to $1,000 to purchase the equipment to live stream those meetings. But that equipment has never been used.
If all recordings would have been taken out, that was the next motion that I was making. I came in here tonight and I found the equipment that our prior mayor did not let us know that he had. And I found that equipment. If everybody would have moved out, that would have been the next motion.
I brought up that we had that equipment multiple times in council and to the mayor. We'd had it for over a year. There was no intentions to use it. They're just saying that now because they've been called.
Do you know maybe why they haven't put that into?
Do not, which is if they had, we wouldn't have this problem. But that's what I have recommended to them tonight is let's get that installed, preferably before the next meeting.
So for the time being, the rule remains in place, which states that the taping of the council meetings using video or audio is prohibited. The next city council meeting is in 2 weeks.
We continue to follow the controversy in the city of Margaret, where taping public council meetings remains prohibited. Tonight, another meeting called to order and adjourned with nothing accomplished.
Your reporter Lauren Harkson was there tonight when our cameras were blocked at the door. Lauren, you've been all over this story for the past several weeks. We were told at the last meeting that we would be allowed to record, but tell us what happened tonight.
Well, Steve, Brittany, just as you said, at the last Margaret City Council meeting, I was told by the city attorney and a city councilor our cameras would be allowed to record inside public meetings moving forward. After sharing that with the police chief tonight, though, he tells me the decision was ultimately made up to Mayor Pro Tem Daryl McIntyre to prohibit them.
They don't want the press in the cameras. Okay? That's what they said.
Now, our video equipment barred right there at the entrance tonight. Even still, we decided to go inside for the meeting while leaving the equipment in the car. Now, this was a special called public meeting to discuss streaming and recording rules. City Councilor Darius Crump made a motion to live stream and record every public meeting to post on the city's website and or Facebook, adding recognized media would be allowed to record as well. Now, before this could even be voted on, the council needed to vote to suspend the rules. Unfortunately, nobody seconded to do that. So the motion died for about 10 to 15 minutes. City councilors and the police chief argued before a motion to adjourn. Residents sharing they are frustrated with leadership at this point.
They never get anything resolved. It's always name calling, pointing a finger, bickering among themselves and want to fight. They're like kids.
What do you think the solution is if there's?
To get rid of them, vote everybody out and bring new people in. And why they don't want to record it and out in the public, because they're hiding something.
Now, after the meeting, I asked Mayor Pro Tem Daryl McIntyre for an interview, but he said he was scared to go on camera after receiving some threats this week. When I asked why he didn't second the motion to suspend the rules in order to pass the new recording regulations, he said he just didn't. Yeah, Steve, Brittany, we started asking questions about a month ago when Councilman Matthew Tortorisi was escorted out of a public council meeting for simply filming it, a clear violation of Alabama state law. So now, after continuing to push for answers, these are the 5 new rules that were passed tonight, but not before those on council. And the city attorney argued for more than 20 minutes.
And will be made available to all of the public in its entirety. So we adopted 5 rules that basically try to set the ground rules. We'll have a designated press area. We'll have a place in the back for people that want to record. The city's going to try to install a new system to either stream, record, or both.
Margaret City Attorney Erskine Funderburg says he consulted with the St. Clair County District Attorney on the new recording rules and regulations. The rules state recognized press, as defined by Alabama law, and city employees will be able to record meetings within designated areas. All other Alabama citizens can record from their seat. There's also a section of the rules that say those who live within the state of Alabama will be allowed to record. How do you plan on enforcing that?
Well, the Alabama Opens Meetings law and the Alabama request for information, like freedom of information, The Attorney General in the state of Alabama have always adopted a rule that if you're not a citizen of the state of Alabama, those don't apply to you. So many cities and many counties deny requests. They get inundated by these out-of-state groups that try to flood them for information requests, so that's the purpose of that sentence.
If we're not familiar with the press, we'll probably try to have the police check them out and identify them. All in favor?
After more than 20 minutes of back and forth, the new rules passed 3-2. Jonathan Ray and Matthew Tortorisi, the only dissenting votes. So tell me why you decided to vote against this.
Well, I feel like the state law is clear enough. I mean, like, all we have to do is let people have their rights and do what they need to do. I voted against it just because it's unnecessary. A year and a half ago, I voted to have us record the meetings. They didn't because they didn't want to. They're only doing it now because they're being forced to.
Do you know when they're going to start recording and posting on Facebook?
The next scheduled meeting is our plan.
Tortorisi says now he's pursuing legal action because his rights were violated over the last month.
I'm working with the Center for Individual Rights out of Washington, D.C. They're going to litigate my lawsuit for me. So, as Erskine said, I can't sue state-wise, but I can sue federally. So I'm pursuing that avenue.
Councilor Tortorisi tells me right now he's waiting on final confirmation from the board of directors to go ahead and take his case. But of course, now Margaret residents have free access to these meetings thanks to these new rules. For now, live in Margaret, Lauren Harkson, WBRC 6 News on your side.
First at 9, covering St. Clair County, a public interest law firm from Washington, D.C. is taking on the city of Margaret.
The Center for Individual Rights filed a federal lawsuit within the last few days to defend Councilor Matthew Tortorisi for what they're calling a violation of his First Amendment rights. Your reporter Lauren Harkson has been following this story for quite a while now. She joins us live explaining why this all happened and where it started. Lauren, you are definitely a major part of this story.
Well, Brittany, Steve, it all started back in July when the Margaret City Council passed a rule prohibiting the taping of public city council meetings. Now, they did pass a separate rule in September that allowed some people, including Councilman Matthew Tortorisi, to record in specific designated areas. Well, this federal lawsuit says this whole saga has been a violation of Tortorisi's free speech rights.
At one of the meetings this summer, they told Councilman Tortorisi that the only way he could stop their behavior is to file a lawsuit. Well, he's done that now.
A federal lawsuit filed by the Center for Individual Rights, a nonprofit law firm dedicated to the defense of individual liberties, claiming, quote, "The city of Margaret is attempting to silence Mr. Tortorisi because of its hostility to his viewpoints. The First Amendment does not permit these actions."
We did a very careful investigation, and the more we heard about what was going on in the city of Margaret, the more flabbergasted we were, quite frankly.
President Todd Gaziano says the previous and current rules are intended to prevent Tortorisi from making video recordings.
I mean, this can't withstand judicial scrutiny, so we're quite confident that the city's policy is going to have to change.
So I'm sure a lot of people reach out to you guys wanting some help, but you chose to take on Councilman Matthew Tortorisi's case, so you must think there is an actual case here.
Oh, absolutely. There's an ironclad, fairly obvious, easy violation of the First Amendment. We probably take on 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 cases. We've been to the Supreme Court 8 times, and we have an extremely good record at every court and in every level. There's a crying need for someone to bring this case.
Gaziano says the best solution is for the city to confess error and settle the case. Otherwise, he warns it could cost the city and their taxpayers a hefty amount of money.
The city of Margaret needs to stop acting like an illegal, petulant child and grow up, and their officials need to start acting professionally and following the law.
Now, last week we reached out to City Attorney Erskine Funderburg for comment, but he said he hadn't seen the lawsuit yet. We also reached out to Mayor Darrell McIntyre, who has yet to get back to us, but of course we will keep you updated. Your reporter live tonight, Lauren Harkson, WBRC 6 News on your side.
First at 9, covering St. Clair County, the city of Margaret is officially streaming their city council meetings online after months of fighting to restrict recordings.
Your reporter Lauren Harkson been all over this story from the beginning. And Lauren, what does the new setup look like?
Well, Steve, Brittany, you can see it right here. There's an iPad in the back of the room designated as the recording area. This is also where we set up our camera. ADR Business and Marketing Strategies is manning the live stream. Donna Barnett with the organization tells me tonight the videos also have the capability to be archived, but the city is still figuring out where they want those to be kept. Now, this comes a month after the city council finally adopted new recording rules allowing this to take place. Back in July, the council voted to prohibit any taping of public council meetings. While Councilor Matt Tortorisi tells me he plans to continue making his own recordings, City Attorney Erskine Funderburg tells me that this is the city council acting on what they promised to its citizens.
They passed the rules and regulations. As far as I know, that was with the consent of the district attorney and the Alabama League of Municipalities. They both approved of the process that we initiated, which is basically to say we have a designated area, can't disrupt.
I am glad the city is doing it. I'm proud of it, but I'm not going to stop myself because I can't trust. Like as you've seen in the minutes, when they're faked, there's no telling what may happen with that video footage.
Now, again, you can now watch the Margaret City Council meetings live on their city website. We broke the news just last night that Councilor Tortorisi has filed a federal lawsuit against the city for allegedly hindering his First Amendment rights. I have a response from the city coming up at 10. Of course, I'm here to get a response to the federal lawsuit that came out.
Just got it a couple hours ago.
Now, City Attorney Erskine Funderburg tells me he doesn't believe the city did anything illegal and they were working within state law when they passed a ban on recording public meetings back in July. That ban has since been lifted. 1 month ago, the city council adopted new recording rules which allows people to record within a designated area. Even so, Councilor Matt Tortorisi says his rights were already violated over the summer.
I mean, I'm really sad it's come with all this, but I mean, basically, like, you know, you heard in the meeting, Erskine said if I've got a problem or if I feel the law is violated, then I needed to file a lawsuit. So it took me a while to get all my ducks in a row, but I mean, it's a pretty slam dunk case, and like, I mean, I had to pursue it because what they're doing is just illegal in its face.
He's claiming a violation of the Constitution and what they call a Section 1983 action, which would be a violation of civil rights.
Do you think that took place?
I do not. No, I think we complied with Alabama law to the T.
Now, Funderburg tells me federal cases move pretty quickly. Now that all parties have been served the lawsuit, they have 21 days to file a response. He then expects the city to motion to dismiss, which will be set for a hearing potentially in November. I asked Anthony Fields for a response tonight on the lawsuit. He wants to wait until he's spoken with a lawyer. Daryl McIntyre was not available for comment after the council meeting. We did email him asking for a response last week. We still have not heard back.